For some reason, as time's arrow moves ever forward and the march of progress follows closely behind, there is a weird human urge to make everything teeny tiny. I remember being at senior school and there was this guy named Adam who one day came in with this little tiny Panasonic mobile phone, literally the size of my thumb. And even at the time I remember being like, why? In some cases though, making things smaller, more compact, can actually be really beneficial. Today's example is the Dreadbox Nymphes, something that aims to take what is usually a large, bulky, kind of 49 key keyboard type affair and compact it into something that could fit pretty comfortably in your jeans back pocket. The Nymphes is immediately reminiscent of the Juno. Just looking at the top panel, you have got an oscillator section. That's 6 oscillators, 1 oscillator per voice. It is a 6-voice polysynth. We have got a filter, resonant filter, 4-pole there, an envelope with ADSR and a VCA with ADSR, accessible through secondary functions like so. LFO with a second LFO, also accessible via secondary functions. A preset kind of grid matrix thing, I think we'll call it, which is 7x7, so you've got 7 letters of the alphabet, each with 7 presets underneath it, accessible via more secondary functions. And talking of secondary functions, last but not least, we have this menu matrix thing down here, which frankly makes me want to cry. The core sound of the Nymphes, though, is phenomenal, so I reckon we'll get the keyboard out and we will start there. So we're all set up now with the Nymphes, and it's in 6-voice poly mode, and it sounds pretty good. I'm not a keyboard player, just to preface, but you know, I can vaguely slap the keys, so that'll get us through. So we are set on a saw wave at the moment, so we can take you through that. Nice sounding square. And a triangle. Nice. I have got the sub up there, so without the sub oscillator, still sounds pretty good, but obviously sounds a lot fatter with that. Nice. So, secondary functions are up here, accessible via the shift key. So down the bottom, these are non-secondary functions, primary functions, I suppose we'll call them. Wave, oscillator level, sub, noise. Which sounds pretty nice, yeah, it's okay. And an LFO, which is kind of routed straight over here, which we'll have a look at in a second. You get the idea. Filter, so we can have a look at the filter. Let's just bring up that resonance so we can do the mandatory YouTube filter sweep. Whole ton of really nice harmonics in there, quite Roland-y, or at least reminiscent of the Roland filters that I've played with. We can also, with this, map it to the envelope, so which is pretty cool and a quite handy way of doing that as well. Interesting that it's on a blend as well, because it's on a slider, so that's pretty cool. Moving on to the envelope. At the moment we're controlling the filter envelope, I believe, like so. But if we hit this shift key, we got the secondary function and we get VCA just here. And that's now a high pass filter. Nice and confusing. Let's just open that right up, back to our secondary function. Interesting, so if you max out the attack on the VCA, you just get nothing. That's fun. Bring that back down, decay. Very, very, very quick there. Let's bring that decay back up. So we sustain. And let's do a bit of release there as well. You can hear it kind of hanging about there for a minute after I let go. There it goes. Very cool. So pretty standard fare so far. The LFO we've kind of already had a very quick look at, but I will have another look. You've got different wave shapes available there for the LFO, as well as random, which is pretty cool. I assume that's not random, it's more of a noise type thing, I would imagine. So we're in shift mode, and this is where you have to be kind of careful with the Nymphs, because you can really easily adjust stuff that you don't mean to adjust. But we are in shift mode, so I am controlling LFO there, and the delay and fade here, so I don't want to do that. I'm going to switch shift off so I can control the LFO rate. Here, I'm going to switch shift back on, send loads of the filter control to the LFO, or rather receive lots of filter control from the LFO. Switch shift off, and then I'm going to play with the LFO rate here so we can see what that sounds like. Cool stuff there. So the Nymphs sounds great, it looks great, it's easy to use. All of the kind of immediate functions that you're going to be reaching for are right there on the top panel, although some of them hidden behind secondary functions in the case of stuff like the VCA. But I think if, like me, you would buy the Nymphs and use it primarily as a set and forget type thing, you're going to have a really good time. The thing is, that doesn't make for a particularly interesting video, which means I am going to have to just grim and bear it and dive into that menu matrix. Spoiler alert, it's a nightmare. So as I alluded to earlier, we have got the kind of non-highlighted, which I think that's what we'll call them, down here, kind of primary function stuff. Up here, which we'll call highlighted, the one with your kind of shading around the back, you access through the shift key there. So, for example, if I wanted to adjust the cut of my low pass filter, I could do that like that. However, if I press shift, I get a high pass filter. Or I get key tracking. Or the amount I want to send to the LFO. But now you see I've actually just illustrated perfectly what one of my many complaints about this system is that if you get carried away in actually using the Nymphs and enjoying and having fun, you are very, very likely to accidentally adjust something that you don't want to adjust. For example, I left the shift setting on there and went to adjust the LFO rate because I realised I was controlling LFO on my filter. But that changed the delay time on the LFO, which it did not change the rate, which is what I actually wanted to change, which is why we can't hear the LFO. And now let's go back to shift, route the filter and LFO together. I've done it again. See, so this is kind of the problem. This is the kind of one of the many issues. The other one of the issues with this little control matrix thing is just that you don't really get a visual readout of what you're actually doing or how it's going when you are doing it. So for example, let's see, and I haven't rehearsed this, I've done this deliberately so that I can try and show you whether or not I can get it right effectively. So let's see, there is a built-in reverb on here. It's a built-in digital reverb. It is a pretty okay reverb, you know, it's not going to light the world on fire or anything, but it's there and it does the job. Handy in a portable environment. So, let's see if we can get to it. So we're going to go menu to enable the menu, right? You with me so far? All fairly simple stuff. I want option 3 on the menu, so I don't want to press shift because that will give me ABC. I want to not press shift, so I get 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, which will take me to reverb. And then without doing anything, I should have some reverb. Reverb. I think it's an algorithmic reverb, and I think it's not the greatest algorithmic reverb, mainly because, can you hear that kind of metallic ringing in the reverb? It almost sounds like a gong, like a metal plate resonating. Up there, that is common with algorithmic reverbs when something's not quite right, just when it's not fab. Algorithmic reverb is really hard. Yeah, it's really, really difficult to get right, algorithmic reverb. I'm working with them at the moment when I'm developing my plugins, so can confirm, really, really hard. But something to be aware of. The reverb is there, it does its job. It's not the worst sounding reverb in the world. See, I'm changing settings there and I have absolutely no idea what they're doing because they're not doing what I'm expecting them to be doing. But they're also, I don't know if that's because I have the menu enabled. So does that mean when I have menu enabled to change, for example, the reverb settings as I'm doing now, does that mean that I can't change my other settings? So I've got my reverb where I want it. Yes, so that is what's happening. So I had the noise up when I pressed menu, and then no matter what I did over here to adjust the noise, I couldn't change anything. But I have now got my reverb on there, hanging out. Again, not the greatest sounding reverb in the world, but I mean, this is clearly aimed at being portable. It's USB bus powerable. Well, but don't bus power it, but it's powered over USB. It's clearly aimed at being a little portable thingy thing, and that's very, very cool that it includes that reverb. Just in case you get stuck, you're out with your mates, you're jamming, and you go, man, I really wish my sound had a reverb. Well, there you go. The Nymphs, though, really comes to life when you add extra stuff. So when you've got a kind of, for example, now I have to switch off my reverb, which I can do, thankfully. No, I can't. I have to go menu 3, mix down, reverb is off, menu. Okay, so now my reverb is off, I can switch on an external reverb I have on a send on my desk just here, a CXM 1978. So we're going to get some real nice reverb to properly show off what the Nymphs can do. Okay, so that kind of covers off the reverb part of the conversation. However, we have got lots of different play modes down here. So let's say, for example, oh god, I want to change the play mode. So menu 1 for mode. Menu again, flashing. 2 will give me unison A. Menu again, flashy flashy. We should now be in unison mode. So if I go down an octave on my keyboard, we have a big fat unison sound. Super, super cool. I can also adjust glide here with my secondary functions. Worth noting as well that there is a detune function, so if I want a slightly fatter sound, I like talking Julian. Yeah, big and fat, not the fattest thing in the whole world, but that down, switch that off, those two up. Sounding really, really cool. So that's unison mode. Right, menu 1, 1, 1, yes. Menu again. 4, which gives us tri, which is a triphony. So we get 3 voices, each voice 2 oscillators. So kind of 3 semi-unison. Cool again if I want to play with that detune option. So instantly brings out that kind of vintagey, kind of slightly wavy sound that we associate with those kind of big vintage synths with Juno written on them. Super, super cool stuff. I think last but not least, I can't touch on Aftertouch or anything like that because I don't have an Aftertouch capable keyboard, but we will have a play with the chord mode over here. So I need to switch off, shift, menu, menu number 7. No, menu number 1, yep. For mode, menu, flashing menu, number 7, which gives me menu, mode 1, option 7, go. I pushed something by accident. If I now press shift over here, I can adjust the chord. No, I can't. Why can't I do that? What? No. Okay, right, let's try that again. Menu. Poly mode. No, mode 1. Flashing. Mode 7. Flash, flash, flash. What are you doing? There we go. Okay, we got it eventually. I have no idea what that was. Again, this menu system is a nightmare. If this thing was just... And we can flick through these chords using this shave section here. Very, very cool stuff. Fun for, you know, if you want to play in fifths or something like that. Interesting. It's a cool feature. It's a nice to have thing. I don't know how much I would use it, but I'm sure there's a whole load of people out there going, oh man, I'd use that all the time. And well, that's what it's for. I both love and kind of hate the Nymphs. That's not true. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's a really great sounding little synth. I really enjoy it when it's just being a poly. Or once I get it where I want it, it sounds really, really nice. The problem that I'm having is that nightmare menu system. I don't understand the point. Like if you go back and watch, for example, I mean, I did a video on the Dreadbox Nymphes V2, which was the kind of slightly larger one. It was about this big, and it had wooden end cheeks on it, and it was really cool, and that form factor was great, and that form factor would have been really great for this. And it's still very portable, it's still very light, it still could have had all of the features, everything that it did could still be in there, it could still sound just as good, it would just be a little bit bigger, and that extra surface area would allow for a better control system that wasn't as painful to use. It still would have been very portable, it still would have sounded great, it still would have been all of the wonderful things about the Nymphs, but that extra 20% increase in size would have made it 100% less miserable to interact with. The Nymphs then is a great little instrument. It sounds great, it looks great, it's very well made, it's portable, it's super compact. They've definitely thought the little details through, like for example for that portability, you know, there's a built-in little reverb. It's USB powered, which is really cool. You know, you can take that stuff with you. A lot of people are bound to have a spare USB plug for you to use. Great. A couple of caveats though. If, like me, you would plug the Nymphs in and use it almost exclusively as a kind of set and forget 6-voice poly, you're going to have a wonderful time. It's great. If, though, maybe, you are going to use it as one of your only synths, maybe it's your only synth, and you are going to absolutely deep dive on the Nymphs, and you are going to have all of those secondary functions, all of those memory functions absolutely muscle memoried, you're going to have a wonderful time. It's probably great. If you don't sit in either of those camps, you're going to be getting the Nymphs out, you know, maybe every other project, maybe between projects, and you are going to have to relearn it every time you pick it out. No. You're going to want to keep that manual handy. The Nymphs costs about £600, somewhere between £500 and £600 depending on where you get it. I have no idea what that is in dollars or euros, but I mean it's more affordable than a Juno, so big old thumbs up there, I suppose. It's really, really well made, it sounds great, it looks great, it's fun, it's interesting, and it's super compact and portable if you do want to take it out and about and share it with your musical friends. Then it's more than equipped for that. As I mentioned in the video, it is powered over USB-B, which is what you're kind of like audio interface / printer cable type thing, so you can bring one of those along with you. They do caveat immediately when you open the box, there's a big piece of paper that says you need to power it not off of your computer, because otherwise you're going to get ground loops. So power it and plug it into separate things. You know, don't power it off of your computer and then plug the audio out into your interface, because you're just going to create a ground loop and you're going to get noise. Plug it off into an old phone charger or something like that, and you'll be all set and good to go. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. Nevermore has a forum, so if you want to get chatty, go over there. There's lots of like-minded, fun and interesting people desperately waiting to hear your thoughts on everything from tubes to Eurorack gear to synths to mixing desks to everything in between. It's great. It's a great little community of people. It's very small but growing all the time, and we would love to have you. Check out the Nevermore website. Some updates on plugins coming very soon from yours truly. Thanks again for watching. I will see you next time.